Hi, Super Thinkers. Today we're going to start our mini project to get ready for our big urban planning project. So our mini project is making a small building in Tinkercad, and it's a building that will help you to deal with this time when we're all stuck inside. So what I'm going to make is, and what we're all going to make is a little fantasy building. If we could leave our house, which is hard for most of us right now, a place for us to go to enjoy ourselves and meet some needs that just aren't getting met right now when we're stuck inside. So I'm going to start out by opening the work plane. And my first move is always to give it a name that makes sense. So David's Escape Cottage. Cottage is a small house that we can escape to. And I'm going to go down here to the bottom right and click on Edit Grid. This is going to be important to our whole project. We're going to change it from millimeters to inches, and we're going to change it to 12 by 12 inches, which is just 1 foot by 1 foot. Now we have this work plane that is exactly 1 foot by 1 foot, so we can build our project to scale and it'll look real, and everyone's building will sort of match and look real with everyone else's building. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a floor to build on. I'm going to drag out a box from my Basic Shapes menu. The Basic Shapes menu here on the right is super important. It contains all the geometric shapes, which are the most important ones to build with for most projects, especially for architecture. So I'm going to pull out this box, and it's going to start out red. Now I can move it around by just clicking on the center of it and moving it around horizontally. If I want to move it vertically, I click on this black arrow on the top of it, and I can move it up and down. Every object is going to be moved that way. Then I can grab these white squares if I want to change the size of it. If I grab the white squares in the corners of an object, it's going to stretch it horizontally. And if I grab the white square on the top of an object, it's going to stretch it vertically. So the first thing I want to do is just make my property that covers my whole work plane. This is the way we're always going to start. And the box is going to start out bright red. And if you don't want your project to look like a children's toy, you're going to have to change the colors. So I'm going to click on my property here. It's going to open this shape menu on the right. And I'm going to click where it says solid and choose a color that I think is better. I'm just going to build on a neutral gray, pretending that it's concrete, and add to it as I want to. Another important feature is here on the top left. This box allows you to rotate your work plane. As your project gets more complicated, it's really important to be able to look at it from all sides and to be able to zoom out and zoom in with this plus and minus button. It's super duper important to be able to use this. So now I can start to drag out other sorts of shapes to build my house. The cylinder, I can drag out and pull it up. Now in real life, objects cannot occupy the same space. If you try to put them up against each other, they're just going to bang against each other like my hands. But in Tinkercad, it's actually really important that objects merge. So I have my cylinder going through my floor. That way, they're really linked, and if we 3D print them, they're going to be really strong and joined together. I can drag out another box and stretch it out and make it super tall. And I can start to make a building. And again, I want to merge my shapes. So I'm going to have my box and my cylinder overlap here. Now, if I want them to look like they're really part of one building, I can click on them and I can change the color so that they're both purple. Sort of a wild color for a building, but let's go with it. So now that I've made them different shades of purple, they really look like they're part of one structure. And another cool tool is, let's say I want this to be really symmetrical and I want to copy this cylinder and put it over here. I can go to the top left here to this bunch of squares, hit duplicate and repeat, and I can drag it over. And I can build a building that is symmetrical on both sides. So my goal here is that I want to create a place that I can escape to. And what's really important to me when I've been stuck inside all this time is to be connected to nature, and because I'm losing my art studio, to have a place where I can work and make things. So I'm going to imagine that I am making a little building, shouldn't be huge, and I'm going to imagine that it's in the backyard. So I'm going to make my ground green to imagine that I'm in a lush natural place. I'm going to go to the characters menu on the right, which is different from basic shapes. And if I go there, I can pull out a little man. He's red, he's called the Astrobot. And I can put him into my environment and shrink him down so that we have some sense of what size my building really is. Next, I'm going to give it a cool roof. So I took this rounded shape and I flipped it. And another skill that you can use is flipping shapes. So each shape, if you go here, you'll see a little round arrow. And the round arrows, there's 3 of them, and they flip your shape in all of the different 3 dimensions. So I didn't want a stereotypical normal roof shape like a children's drawing, and I didn't want a flat roof, so I went for this cool curvy roof. And I'm going to change the colors of my building so that they match, so it looks like it's made out of one solid object. I imagine that this is going to be somewhat open to the outside, so I'm going to give it a little porch so that even as I'm making art, I can look out and enjoy nature, because I am tired of being cooped up. So I'm going to take a box, move it up, and stretch it way out and thin it so that I have a little screened-in porch. And I can go up here to the top left and copy my box to move it down. And then I'm going to change both of these to also match the main color of my building. Next, I'm going to need windows and doors, and for this you could use lots of shapes, but I'm going to use another box. I'm going to place it here, drag it up so it's nice and tall and small and not too wide. Then I'm going to change the colors so it contrasts a little bit with the rest of the house. And I'm going to copy and make a window that is the same color. Having matching colors always looks nice. Finally, I want to add some greenery because my whole idea is that I'm escaping to a somewhat natural place, and I'm going to need shade because it's getting hot in the summer and I don't want to go out and get a sunburn on my pale skin. So I'm going to drag out a sphere and drag out a pillar or a cylinder. I'm going to use the black arrow to move my sphere up to the top and stretch it way out so that it provides a nice amount of shade like a real tree. And I'll change the color to be more realistic. So I would like you to please start working on a cottage. It should be only 1 story tall. You should put a person in there for scale. And you should try to show a little bit of the area around it. Give it some windows and doors and a roof so it seems relatively realistic. And try to add some features to it that you can explain to others. It has to have a reason for being. We're not just making a silly random building. We're making a building that's going to be a positive escape for you, where you can get out of your house and enjoy yourself. So think of some features you can add to it to make it more enjoyable, and let me know. Thanks, Super Thinkers. I'll talk to you later.